Hey guys, it's Quickie Baby bringing you another map tactics. This is the third week I've been doing this. Hopefully going to continue the releases on Monday. Last week you guys requested Airfield, so here you go. This is what I'm going to give you. Remember, if you want to see the map that you want next week, suggest it in the comments below and be sure to upvote the map that you want. These take me quite a while to do, so if you appreciate them, by the end of the video, please think about rating the video. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, as I clarified last week, I'm going to be discussing the maps as if I'm starting from green base or red base. If I say red base, then that's as if I'm attacking from the red base. And if I say green base, that's as if I'm attacking from the green base. So I want to just give a quick opinion, and this is something that's going to become quite important as I talk through my reviews. I find it much easier to attack from the green base along the south because of this rocky outcrop here, allowing you, in my opinion, easy approach into the base from the south. Whereas this area here, I feel is an absolute kill zone, which can be shot at from this location here, from the locations up here, and the locations around here. And even if you've taken the long route around to get into this position, then any remaining tanks that are hiding around these bushes here are going to basically create some absolute pain for you here. This is important because I feel that from the red base, if you go round the south, then you have a hell of a lot of trouble here. One of the clearest approaches is to go up either this route or up this route, and I feel that this whole area is a complete kill zone that can be shot from the ridge, it can be shot from the base. You have sneaky artilleries hanging around at the back who are wanting to put pressure on you as well as tanks that can fall back into this location here and get shots all the way up onto you, and tanks that have the mid-ridge here. So just to clarify, basically I'm saying that I feel that this is very dangerous for the team attacking from the red base, and I feel that this area is very dangerous for the team attacking from the green base. So what you're going to find, that my strategies suggest that if you're attacking from the green base, that I like to attack from the south or the mid, and if I'm attacking from the red base, I either like to attack from the mid or attack from the north. So without further ado, let's take a look at what I like to do in my heavy tanks on this wonderful map, Airfield. So talking about what I like to do with my heavy tanks from green base, I really like to start by policing this corner here. I like to approach, and that allows me to get early shots around this corner if there are any very aggressive tanks. And also, from this position here, you can even get cheeky shots if you've got high view range on tanks that like to go here and here from the red base. And I quite often get cheeky shots around this location here from this position, which, you know, if you can get a good alpha hit off on one of these tanks, you can sometimes make them do stupid things. Also, you can spot for your artillery, who usually locate around here, and sometimes they like to locate around here. And just getting that initial spot, even in a heavy tank with good view range, if it's fast, I'm thinking immediately like a Conqueror. You can easily get into a position up here and get an early spot before some of the slower tanks are leaving base, and that can allow you to get some damage for your artillery and for you to get the first alpha shot off. Be mindful though that this position can be shot from all of their base locations, and also the enemy artillery, who usually like to locate here, down here, and very rarely up here, will also be able to put pressure on you in your initial spot position. Once I've gone there, if I feel that the enemy are heavily approaching from the red base, then I do like to hold around this location quite a while and wait until they approach this corner, and then use the wonderful hold down location to be getting shots onto them here. Conversely, I like to play the standard southern approach route around the corner. I really feel that this is strong. There's an excellent little ridge that sticks out here that should keep you safe, albeit from only the artillery that will locate out here. Only artillery that locate out here will be able to put pressure on you. Once you feel that you've got this corner slightly secure, you should try and push straight on and try and make it to this opposite rock. This opposite rock here will protect you from any artillery from the north, as well as artillery from the mid and the south. as well as protecting you from enemies that like to cluster up around this ridgeline here. This is a very dangerous ridge that will be putting pressure on you as you make your approach. Once you've made it to this rock, you need to basically fight from this rock for a while. You need to clear the ridge lines. You need to make sure that there aren't enemies that are camping you here and here. So once you've cleared the ridge lines, then you can continue your assault around the rock and either get into a defensive location here if you feel that you need to get cover from the north, or you can continue your approach from the south. I really feel that this is a very efficient way to get into the base, and the only danger zones I would like to highlight, the real danger zones are here and when you make this corner here. These are where you need to be fast, and you can't really stop here unless you use your judgment to confirm that you're going to be able to get a kill. If you want to ignore my approach that I suggest that you go via the south, then there are some very good locations up the north, especially there's locations in here. Now this position is, in my opinion, quite overpowered because as you're seeing in the game view footage, you can get shots all the way across the north, as well as being able to get shots across the south at this point and also this point here. Any enemies that try and make an approach up here, or any enemies that make an approach along here, you will be able to attack from this position. This is a very, 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 very defensive location, and I would suggest only going here if you're afraid of the enemy artillery and you're in a tank that you think if you last a long while then you have a chance to carry the game by yourself. Alternatively, if you still want to go north, think about either making your approach route from here or make your approach route along here and then start by lining up along these rocks, and then you've got a very dangerous shootout where you need to be progressing to the rocks. There are so many routes that you can take on Airfield. I can't really tell you to use any one because the route that you need to take completely depends on what tanks you're facing, and it also depends on where the enemy's positions are. But basically you want to keep progressing and you want to get flanking shots. For example, you could get flanking shots along here once you reach these buildings, which are very, very nice to use the actual hangars. Be mindful that the enemy tank destroyers are likely to be camping up here, so they will be getting shots on you as you make your approach. Once you've made it to the hangars or to the rocks, for example here, or you've flushed out the enemy tank destroyers and you've taken this northern town, then you've got, in my opinion, what a very dangerous situation is. This whole area around here is, in my opinion, an absolute death sentence. I really feel that this location here can be shot at from the ridgelines here. It can be shot at even from below. Around here they can shoot up towards this lower area here, as well as enemy artillery who might have relocated to the south and be putting pressure on you, or even trying to dig out the enemies who are located in the town who can pop out and take shots at you, especially at this rock here, this rock right here. They will like to locate out around and they will put shots on you on your approach. So this, in my opinion, is a very, very hard location to take. So now to talk about approach from the red base. Okay, as I highlighted at the start of the video, I believe that this is a very bad approach to take the south on this map. So I like to either hold the middle at this location here at the start and poke and try and get spots on enemies that are here. You'll also be able to poke and get spots on enemies who approach through here, who have got bad camo rating and get spotted behind the bushes, and basically wait for the game to develop a little bit. You can locate up in this location here, which has got amazing bushes all around it, and unless the enemies poke this corner here where they will be able to spot you, you can remain fairly hidden and be able to get very effective shots through this flank here, as well as spot and poke tank destroyers who like to camp at this location. And if your friends are advancing along the south and they spot any enemies along here, you can still get shots on them as well. I feel that this is a very central location that allows you to put pressure on enemies irrelevant of where they are on the map. Alternatively, if you want to go north-north, I suggest you make your approach fairly quickly along here. Be mindful that enemy scouts who make it into an early position here will be able to spot you on this approach, and you might get hit by the scouts, or even worse, you get bombed by the artillery. Nevertheless, if you've survived that and you've made it to the corner, I suggest basically playing quite defensively, and again trying to advance your position along the rocks, Try and keep putting pressure on the enemy, allowing you to get flanking shots on enemies that you have outmaneuvered. If you can continue to make your approach along here, be mindful that you are going to find a bit of a nasty kill zone here. But apart from that, you can very, very, very successfully sneak around, and then more or less, apart from a little gap that you've got to make here, you are generally very safe and in the enemy base if you can make it to this location in a heavy tank, where you can go and fight it out in town, hopefully getting fire support from your artillery, and also any of your friends who are still located on the ridgeline. If you've made it to these locations, and you notice that the enemies are very much present in the middle of the map, feel free to use locations like this in your heavy tank and this in your heavy tank, where there are excellent bush opportunities to be getting shots down on the enemy who are located in the southern parts of the map, especially if you find that your friends are dug in but not progressing, and you're able to get flanking shots across and put pressure on the enemy. If the enemy have done a full blitz along the south, which usually happens from the green base because I feel that that's the strongest position, then consider falling back from your positions here to along this line. This line here provides wonderful flanking opportunities for enemies that are pushing too aggressively here, and if they stop in the open around here, then really you can put a hell of a lot of punishment on them. But the window of opportunity, in my opinion, is fairly short, as I feel that once the enemies have got to this location, it's either very easy to get up into here into a safe location or flank around, and then they're in your base. So just to talk about my points of victory for the green base, I really feel that the location should be started here in a heavy tank, and you should try and progress to this corner with the intent of making it round into the base to take out their artillery and put pressure on the base and win the game. Alternatively, consider locating around here, trying to dominate this alleyway here, be able to put pressure on this location, and be ready to fall back to defend if the enemies breach your southern flank. My points of victory for the red base are to try and progress to dominate these alcoves here that provide you so much protection from most of the map, with the intent of flanking around this way or straight along this ridgeline to dominate the enemy base. Now I'm going to talk about medium tanks. Now I really feel, in my opinion, that I love to dominate the center in medium and light tanks. I really feel that holding these locations allow you shots over so much of the map. You have so many shooting opportunities from the center on Airfield. It is ridiculous. And tanks with excellent gun depression, the speed and flexibility to escape, I really feel that this is where it's at. I love to dominate the center of the map with my medium tanks. So talking about my approach from the green base, I'll make it down here. I'll stop briefly on this corner if an enemy is going full zerg to try and get into this corner here. Sometimes they try and get into this corner to lure enemies out, especially in high artillery games. Once I've seen that that corner is free, I will make it up here. As I've highlighted, there are bushes along here. If you can make it into these bushes quickly, you can often be able to get spots enemies and create a kill zone along here for your artillery, and also spot tank destroyers that are quite slow getting to the front of the base, only just getting into their positions. If you feel under too much pressure here, I like to hold this ridge line here. This ridge line is very important. I like to fall back here, and it allows you to fall back behind these rocks once you get spotted to hide from artillery, and stay up here and put pressure on the enemy as they make their approach. Here, there's generally a lot of action here, and what you will find is that you get lots of opportunities to put pressure shots on the side, track enemies, make them open for artillery, and see if you can dominate the game. If you find that the enemies are pushing hard around the south, then you can fall back along here and use these wonderful ridge lines. I love these ridge lines to basically dominate enemies as they come around the corner. When the enemies come around the corner here, you have to create a kill zone here. You have to kill them. If you allow them up past these points, then generally you have lost the game. So you can create a massive kill zone of the south here. I really feel like from these locations you can dominate enemy tanks who are here, because they have to often turn their turrets to look up here, and you can get nice side shots and you can pick them off one by one in 95% of my experiences, I feel that I can kill any tank that puts himself here from these ridge lines. Alternatively, I know medium tanks who will try and hold this location here, use these bushes, and basically try and counter the middle. If you find that the enemy have got a lot of very aggressive medium tanks from red base who you think are going to come into the middle, think about using these sneaky locations here to get flanking shots on them, as well as being able to provide fire support once the enemy reach this location here, which definitely becomes a complete kill zone. So, talking about what I like to do in my medium tanks from red base, it's fairly similar. I like to get up here, try and dominate the center. You can often spot slow enemies who make it here with poor camo rating, as well as spotting their tank destroyers who like to locate in the base, sometimes even as far as here. There are bushes that you can use, the same as if you approach from green base, and this allows you to get excellent spots along here. And quite often, as you can see that this is just off the center, that the green base will advance here before the red base do, and you can create wonderful kill shots here. Quite often from the central location you'll have some idiots from the green base who will try and get up here, and you can create a kill zone here. Really, this is just deadly, because you will have some tank destroyers most likely camping here who will be able to get shots at them, as well as your artillery who will be able to put hits in them here. And if you can track them in this location, then they're really going to be in a lot of trouble. Once the enemy advance around the south, if you've lost your south and they've made it to these rocks, just fall back almost as if the same, as if you were playing from green base around the opposite ridge lines, and you'll be able to outplay the enemy as they progress. Definitely try and create a kill zone here and create a kill zone here. Hopefully getting support from heavy tanks who have fallen back around here. And even you can get shots from tank destroyers who might have left these locations and gone a little bit further down. Remember, Airfield isn't the biggest of maps, and they'll be able to get kill shots down into here to support you. If you let the enemies get up here from the green approach, then you're in a lot of trouble. You'll have to do everything that you can to try and dig them out of your base, and you will probably lose all your artillery who like to locate around these locations. Remember, you can be cheeky, and if you feel that the enemy are hanging around this location and you feel that the enemy are not dominating this area, you can go and use this ridge line here to poke down onto the enemy. Alternatively, starting from red base, if you feel that the enemy have got amazing medium tank players and that they're going to dominate the center, then think about dropping back and using the bush locations up here, bush locations here, to basically put pressure on the enemy, try and weaken their medium tanks, hound them out, and then after you've pushed them out, then think about relocating and starting to dominate the center and inflict your will upon your opponent. So my points of victory for the green base for medium tanks are going to be locating here, and my points of victory for the red tanks are going to be locating here, with the intent of basically dominating the map. That's what I like to do in my medium tanks. I like to dominate the map. Okay, so now we're moving on to light tanks. Starting from the green base and the red base. My tactics are very similar at the start of the game. However, you can make it to aggressive bush locations on the either side. Start your binoculars, especially if you've got sixth sense. There's ample opportunity for you to fall back if you get spotted. And you can get killer spots out on the enemy from these locations, spotting anyone who's in the enemy bases. Aggressive spotting like this can get you a lot of experience, and also, more importantly, not just thinking about the experience, it allows you to know where the enemy are going, and better players on your team will then change their motions and they will react to it. And quite often, providing that intel for your team, but not dying, is so important, and it will boost your win ratio so much. So like medium tanks, I like to patrol, falling back, spotting, falling back, spotting, basically alternating between these positions, trying to get as much intel as I can, wait for the enemies to congregate here, put pressure on the enemies from either side, wait until the enemies break through a flank, put pressure on them here, put pressure on them here. You can very much see that I like to play quite semi-defensively in my medium and light tanks on Airfield. I like to wait until the enemies breach and then get them at their kill zones. That's what I feel. I want to create the kill zones and take the enemy out from the central reservation. There are opportunities for aggressive scouting along the north with the intent of trying to basically break into the enemy base, and also from the other side. I must highlight as well that there are some sneaky opportunities on the far north where you can get behind rocks. However, I find that scouts that get up here have no way to escape once they've got up here, and that really all they do is they achieve some spots on maybe the enemies who are hiding on the corners, maybe get some artillery fire, but in the end the enemy artillery will end up taking you out, and you will have achieved much less, in my opinion, than if you're taking the central position. So my points of victory for light tanks from the green base are to rush here, use these bushes, get some early spots here, and then fall back, and then basically try and dominate the center of the game. And very similarly from the red base, my point of victory is to try and rush up here, get some spots along here, get some spots along here, with the intent of falling back and then dominating the rest of the game from the center. So, tank destroyers on Airfield. Now, this is a bit more specialized. Now, when I spawn at green base in my tank destroyers, I very, very rarely will go up here and hold this bush location, which does provide you some opportunity for kill shots on these locations. However, this is quite a defensive location. You'll basically be saying that until the enemy actually progress till the center of the map or push beyond it, that you will not be having any shots on them. If I'm in well-armoured frontal tank destroyers such as the Foch, I do like to play it a bit like a heavy tank, and along this linear path here through the south, I like to continue to press on, and I like to push round and basically get up into the enemy base in the same way that I described in my heavies earlier. Alternatively, from green base, if you feel that you're going to get overwhelmed, there are opportunities to hold this location here. There are some nice bushes here that if you locate just behind these bushes, round about here, that you can shoot through them on a very nice kill zone along this path here without getting spotted. So if I'm spawning from red base, I like to locate up here. This will provide you shots along here, it will provide you shots along here. You'll be able to create some kill zones. But again, just like I described from the green base, that until the enemy actually advance past the midpoint of the map, that there's going to be very little shooting opportunity for you. So going up here is usually only beneficial if you feel that your team will not press through the north very hard and win the game before you can get the shots in these kill zones. Once the game has developed and this position is no longer useful, I quite often like to fall back along here, especially if the enemy is starting to be aggressive on the south, and you can create lots of opportunity for fire along this corridor. Alternatively, if you've been located north and your team has pushed very, very aggressively, then this is still a strong position to take because the enemies are likely to be coming in from the south where you can create kill zones. One position I will suggest, if they're from the green base, is if the enemy have a lot of artillery, then this location here is very deadly because you can create kill zones out from the north and you can create kill zones out from the south. So if I was in, say, an E100 Jagdpanzer, or if I was in an FV215 183, I really feel that by locating here I get lots of artillery cover, and apart from if I get attacked from two directions at the same time, then I should be able to dominate the game from this location. So, just to highlight my points of victory from the green base, I really like to be aggressive from the south. I can't really recommend the location here. However, the location that I just highlighted, with its ample opportunity for kill zones and dominating the map from one position, is what I recommend. My point of victory from the red base is to locate up here, creating kill zones along this corridor, with the intent, once you win this location, to fall back to here and create kill zones in the south. So guys, I hope you've liked Map Tactics with Quickie Baby. I hope that it's been helpful to you and that maybe you can see how I've achieved my 1850 efficiency, my 2050 WN7 and my 60% win solo in random games. If you've enjoyed this, think about rating it down below. It would really help. And remember, say in the comments what you want to see next week. It's completely up to you guys. If this is your first time watching a Map Tactics with Quickie Baby video, I've already done 3 videos, so think about going and checking them out. I've got a playlist on my channel. As always guys, you've been epic, thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon. I still personally feel that I like to hold the middle and stay alive as long as they're... Oh, look, it just made a face. Hello, it's a sad face. Obviously doesn't like the middle.